computer, but
Hey, and welcome to the Grand Budapest. Welcome to the Grand Budapest Hotel. Thank you for checking in. Let me make sure I'm nice and symmetrical in the frame because that's how Wes Anderson be rolling. So as you can tell, we are going to be reviewing the Grand Budapest Hotel, the film. And we got some background action going on yet again. So I guess really quick, if we want to just go over initial thoughts, how we're feeling, and we can jump right into it.
I really liked the film. I really liked how they chose to start in a different place than they told the story. Like how it kind of went back in time a little bit. I think that kept me really engaged throughout.
Yeah. I really liked the film too. Something that stuck out to me was the cinematography and the colors. I was just kind of captivated the entire time I was watching it because the colors were just so beautiful.
I also liked the film. I probably wouldn't put it as one of my all-time favorites, but I thought it was something new and interesting, which I definitely know was kind of the point of this last round of films. So it was definitely something refreshing to watch. And something I really liked about it was the way that it had some historical context of being set between world wars, in the 1930s, and that the war in a sense played a component, but it wasn't it had kind of the different, I don't know if that was a real nation, the Z's. I thought it was kind of alluding to the Nazis in a sense. That's kind of, I feel that's kind of obvious, but I like that it had that kind of context without making this a war film.
yeah, I liked the movie as well. I thought it was kind of a weird, cool vibe to it. The cinematography was really good, and the overall story I thought really came together pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I don't have a whole lot to add, but I guess the thing that I was kind of surprised about is that because I had already sort of seen that it was supposed to be a comedy, and so I was kind of, it wasn't super funny, but I kind of could tell that it was supposed to be comedic throughout the movie, and so I kind of thought it was good that it wasn't just you're sitting there laughing for 90 minutes. It was you actually had to sort of think about it, and it wasn't just laugh out loud the whole time. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I can really appreciate the director's kind of witty humor, or the witty humor that's in this movie. I guess I feel I agree with you. There's elements of comedy in here, but I also feel there's kind of, it's dramatic. It's also a little bit tragic. So I feel it is really complex. Maybe the comedy is supposed to be a comic relief, maybe that's its purpose. But I really did appreciate the unique style he takes with his cinematography, especially considering how everything, like I said in the intro, is just super balanced. Everything is just, it seems very calculated. The colors are kind of washed out without kind of losing, this elevator isn't really, but a lot of his shots, although they can be kind of, I guess, dark, it's, I don't know, it still retains a lot of vibrancy that I really appreciate. So I thought this was kind of a almost like a storybook kind of movie. I felt the way it was shot actually kind of added a little silly, fun, lighthearted energy to something that I guess, or a more serious kind of plot maybe.
Yeah, I also liked how they did the chapter 1, chapter 2 type thing, because sometimes I get confused when movies jump back and forth a lot. So to me that helps separate the scenes more than if it hadn't added that in.
Yeah, definitely so. And then one thing, maybe I just kind of caught this because I've watched a lot of.
What did you all think of
I think he lagged out and then he just
Okay.
Yeah, that was me. I lagged.
Okay. Anyhow, I'll continue. We'll come back, Lewis. the actor that played it's Gustav, right? Yeah, him, and then Dimitri's actor as well. They were both in very like iconic World War II Holocaust movies. He was in Gustav was in Schindler's List, and he didn't play. I think he played a guard. But then Dimitri's actor was like the main character in The Pianist. Pianist. I don't want to say that, butcher that too much. And so I just thought it was kind of interesting to see these actors in kind of the same place. And I don't know if perhaps this was like an important point of the director to like somehow relate this back to like the Jewish ties and this stuff like that. I'm not really positive on that, but I just thought it was kind of interesting to see it all together. It made me think. I tried to like research a little bit into it, and I think that like Jewish like actors or like maybe the directors like was a key point in this, but I'm not positive. But I kind of just wanted to point out that I thought that was interesting.
It is really neat. One thing that I was kind of confused on, and like maybe it was just supposed to be like a, I don't know, more like comedic relief type thing, but I think there was definitely like symbolism in it, was the portrait thing with like the apple. I like wasn't sure if that was like supposed to represent something, and like maybe I just like kind of figured it out, or what you all thought about that.
I could be maybe stretching a little bit, but maybe if I'm thinking it could be an illusion, maybe. Boy with apple could, I mean, maybe like Adam sinning or somehow, because it is kind of, well, if her own son kills her, and you know, there's this whole it's almost like Knives Out, in the way that they're the will is so, I mean, just convoluted, and I mean, he dumps it out on the table. It's so long, you know, and so I wonder if maybe it's symbolizing, I don't know, I really could be stretching here, but I guess kind of like the crazy means that they will go through to get this painting, because it reminds him of his wife, or I don't know. That's a thought that I got.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible like that there's some sort of hidden meaning. I kind of sort of took it more like what Kirby was saying, with like it's just sort of comedic relief, because they made a point to sort of say the title of the painting like every single time that they were talking about it, and it's like such a ridiculous title for what is like a really, really like important painting, or like really, really valuable painting. It's just, and like the painting's not all that special, and like even the like Zero sort of looks at him and he's like, is this like supposed to be impressive? Like this is like whatever, it's just a guy with an apple. So I think it was sort of more of comedic relief, but there definitely could be some sort of meaning that I'm missing.
Yeah, I thought maybe, again, with that time period of it, that like I know kind of like during the Second World War, like art was like a really big thing, and like wanting to have possession of, and like I know that like the Nazis like collected like so much art from like the places they occupied, and so I thought maybe like just during this time perhaps like art is more like increasingly valuable, but I definitely see how maybe Tate and I are just digging a little too deep, you know, with our intelligent brains and all that, and that it's just meant to be funny, but yeah, because I definitely agree that like just the comedy of this film is like a little more subtle, which I think is kind of like allows us to appreciate it more, and maybe like this point of it being comedic just went over my head a little bit.
I was sort of confused about like Zero, like, and how he became like the old dude that he became. Was it like, does anyone like want to explain that?
I thought Zero died.
No, I think Gustav died.
Zero
was handed down like his stuff, and so like the hotel and all of that, and like all of his like money ended up going to Zero, is the way that I kind of interpreted it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, but was the dude talking to him? That was Zero, right?
That was him. Yeah.
Well, how did Zero start off as like a young Indian boy and turn into an old white man?
That made no sense. Like, how did he become white?
Maybe
It happens sometimes. People.
No, I think maybe his skin just like got more
Thank God it was
fair.
fun.
It's
Yeah.
true. When people get older, they always get more light skin. Like, seen it,
He's pale.
like transracial or something. Who knows? I don't know.
I just don't know about that much though.
Could it
I was-
be? Maybe I'm stretching again, but you know how he, like, right when he gets out of the manhole after he just escaped from jail, and then he's like insulting him because he wasn't even ready. He was like, "Where are you from?" You know, and like, I don't know, like about to insult him. But so maybe, I don't know, this could be really stretching, but maybe like deep down inside, Gustav was like, you know, like not well, just like, I don't know, is it like a commentary to say that maybe like Gustav tried to like whitewash him because Gustav thinks he's super like elegant and sophisticated and educated, and or is you think maybe that's reaching in a little deep? Like, is that like a play on like the fact that his skin got lighter as he aged? Is that like a commentary on that maybe?
I can see that
I
because
could
I
be
mean,
it.
he was surrounded by like white people the whole movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
if
it's
you
like
see that.
maybe his name like Zero represents something. Like he got zero family or something like that.
Well,
Like
yeah, because when he's
mom's
getting
dead,
interviewed, he said
children
like
dead. He kind of
his
alone. Maybe
job
he has
experience and
zero.
stuff.
Wait, what? Wait.
I'm talking about. They explain why his name is Zero because it's like
Oh,
zero.
they did. I forgot about that scene.
Yeah, that scene.
I forgot about that scene where they explained that. But I was just thinking about like holes. You know, holes. Remember that dude Zero?
That zero.
That homie.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
does
my
that look
god.
like him?
That's
Mhm.
kind of racist, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Yeah, I definitely could see that. And then also just one thing that I started thinking about when Tate, you were saying about how Gustav tried to be just very like elegant and stuff. I thought some of like the funniest points in the film when he would like try really hard and then something would happen, he would just kind of be like, fuck it. And then like,
Mhm.
and like say that. And I thought it was the funniest thing. Or like when I was kind of confused during this when they were like kind of on the run and they did all that and they ended up like in the like,
Phone booth?
yes, kind of the not well phone booth like
that place, yeah.
confession thing, yes. And he was like talking about it and then he just like switched, he's like, just tell me, and like just freaks out and all this stuff. And like how he'll switch from like, you can tell that he just has to try really hard to like be this like elegant person, and how like, you know, it's like that's not really his true self. But it also kind of makes sense how at the very end of the film Zero was like, he kind of like lost his sense of self, or like kind of his life and purpose at like earlier on, and he had to like fake it. And so maybe like these little like switches is like for us to see throughout the film at how he's not like, he has to try a lot harder now for him to like be this way, and it's not as natural and it's kind of just like fake.
Kind of like Gustavo.
Oh my gosh. From Big Time Rush.
Yes, bro. The manager. He was lit. He was putting out hits. Boyfriend. I still remember that song.
Looking for a boyfriend.
I see that.
Bro, Big Time Rush was.
Wait, so did y'all think the movie was funny or not?
Yeah.
Like
mean, I teared up a
low
bit.
key fun. Teared up, like laughing.
No, or sorry, wait. Never mind. Keep going.
I was just gonna say I like all this subtle humor. I think sometimes like they try a little hard to be funny, but kind of like Anna was said, where she thought he was like trying to act a different way than like he actually was. I found like a bunch of those moments kind of funny, which I guess made me like the movie a little more. Because I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I like read like a little like blip about it beforehand and like watched the trailer, and I was like, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I ended up liking it a lot, which is
The
nice.
trailer did not do it justice, because like when I watched the
Yeah.
trailer, I was like, this is about to be so boring.
I agree.
But then when I watched it, I was like, you know, it was better than the.
Yeah.
trailer.
I have a question, kind of. I don't know if maybe like, so basically the girl who read the book in the beginning and the end, like what's her big significance?
Yeah, who is she?
Like I know, because basically I know she's reading the book that the guy who went to talk to Zero, who's telling the stories, it's like a bunch of stories being told on. But like I just don't know why they included that.
I think
Does
it
it
Oh, sorry, go ahead, T.
No, you got it, Kirby.
I was just gonna say, like, I guess to me it wasn't like necessarily for a purpose, but it did serve to like add to the whole like storybook like aspect of it. Is kind of how I took it, but there could definitely be something deeper too that I missed.
Yeah, I think part of it too could be that like, because it's like I think Anna said it's like sort of 4 stories that are sort of like each going back a little bit further in time. So maybe it's like I think the woman reading the book is sort of supposed to represent like the audience and like people living today, and it's like sort of showing how like stories get passed down through generations, because like she's reading a story that was passed down from another person who like lived it like 80 years ago or something. So it's sort of like going through different eras, and like she's sort of the person who like ends up reading it. But
Mm.
Do you think that maybe the storybook element, like what I'm thinking of is like, for example, I thought a lot of this I saw was just like frame in a frame. So it was like, constantly they'd be looking, they're in that private room and they open the blinds to look at the kitchen, or they're looking out, or Gustav is looking out the prison window, or they're looking out the train window, or Agatha is looking out of his quarters window. Like it's all. I just saw like a lot of, or maybe I'm looking for something that isn't there, but I kind of felt like this was a lot of like eyes peering in, and I feel like that was kind of intentional. Maybe to I don't I'm maybe I don't know if you guys have any like thoughts that could maybe help me figure out why I'm feeling that way, but I don't know.
I think it might help play towards the whole like storybook aspect, and like you're sort of watching like a film in front of your eyes no matter like where you're at. Because I do get what you're saying about all the different scenes where they do show them like sort of hidden, but their eyes like pop out. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure if there's like really a meaning behind it rather than it's like just included in the whole storybook aspect of the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this film's deep, has a lot of layers. But maybe that's also the point, for it to seem deeper than it actually is. I doubt that, but it's like I felt like sometimes they would start like these like little plot lines, but then like not really carry it all the way through. Like there was some characters like I wish we could have like learned more about. Like I wish like it's Agatha, right? That's her name. I wish we could have like learned, like had more development like in her character and like in her like death and all that. Like I know she was so important to Zero, which I thought was really sweet and sentimental. But like I love like the actress like Saoirse Ronan. She's like fantastic, and like I really wish we could have like just like learned more about her, or even like some of like the officer on like the train cars and stuff, like the main one. Like I just feel like there's a lot more characters that could have been like developed a little bit. So that's probably one thing I would have liked a little bit more that could have maybe improved the movie. I know this is kind of Zero and Gustav's tale, but I kind of like that. Or even like the author itself, like
Did he even have a name?
no, he was just the author, and I just feel like he could have also been developed a little bit, maybe like more of him like when he was an older man, because I feel like the last little sequence just kind of like popped back out of each story really really quick, but I feel like they could have like given each one a little bit more closure.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with Agatha, they were just like, "Oh, she and the baby died." Like, they didn't
Which is
even
so sad.
I know they didn't even they didn't even do her justice. So
I wonder why they ended it there though. Like out of all places to end it.
I know, I mean, I guess it's like the not fully happy ending, like happy kind of ish. Like I think like the ending I would have loved is like if Agatha like wasn't dead and she walked out and was like part of the story, and like, or the author itself was like the son. Like that would have been really cool if the son, like the infant didn't die. That would have liked that as well. But maybe part of what makes this like film and the story so good is like being an outsider kind of looking in, as I guess Zero started off as.
Any closing
maybe
thoughts?
I don't know, maybe it's like sort of supposed to say, because like they sort of, each one of the people who was like the concierge sort of made like the hotel their life. and like Gustav, it doesn't seem like he had any like real family. He like sort of like socializes with the guests, but like he doesn't like, he just sort of like sleeps at the hotel the whole time, and like in that like really dark small room. And I think like with Zero, like that's sort of why they sort of like ended Agatha's story right there, is because like it's sort of supposed to show that like he's basically the same. Like he just makes the hotel like his life, and he doesn't really have that, like he doesn't have a family, I guess, now because they're all dead. But like even then, like it was sort of not really, like it was a weird relationship, I guess.
Yeah, I think I agree with you because like maybe I wonder, remember when, I think they're on the train and Zero, I don't remember how this came. I think Zero was saying like, I never asked him about his family because like I didn't know if he had any or something, like he said something like that. And so maybe, because I remember when he was interviewing him and they stopped when he said he had zero family, maybe like that was something that kind of, made him piqued his interest a little bit, maybe was his foot in the door. But yeah, no, I totally see what you mean. And it would make sense, at least to me.
Well, I guess one last thing that I like, this isn't really like something that deep, but I like that little scene where they popped around and showed all the different like concierges, like at all the different hotels. I thought that was so cool because it was like kind of all the same. And so it just seemed like a bunch of like different like Gustavs, and just how like it takes a certain type of person to be in the hotel industry, kind of like you seen Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, like Mr. Mosby. He was, like that was his life. I feel like maybe this whole thing, the hotel becomes like your family. And so it takes like
cool also how they showed like the hotel like in its prime time, like when it was all like pink and shiny, and then they also like showed it like years later when it was like kind of like run down and like totally different. Just how it changed over time, and that was neat how they added that in there.
Any closing remarks? Is that all what we wanna wrap up with?
Yeah.
That's all.
Cool. Well, looks like I'm gonna need your key back because we're checking out of the Grand Budapest Hotel. I said it right that time. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed Dr. Hammer. So come back and stay with us again.